Well, listen, I appreciate you coming by and
Thanks for
chatting with
making
us.
me come.
You're very welcome. I know you said it was early for you, but we appreciate it nonetheless. So today we wanted to talk about a number of different things. But first, let me just start by introducing who we are. So we're Gent's Post. We're a Canadian men's online lifestyle publication.
It's only for Canadian men?
Well, I mean, if you're American, you're more than welcome to read about it. I know you've been living in the States.
Right.
So
I'm still a Canadian man.
But you're still a Canadian at heart. Yeah.
No.
A Canadian man.
I am
just purebred.
I will always be Canadian.
Always. Okay. But you left the winters.
I left 17 years ago, but that's not the point. The point is I never gave up my citizenship.
Okay. You could have dual citizenship as an American. Okay.
No.
So you don't have an American citizenship.
Nope.
Okay.
I'll wait till they kick me out and then I'll come home.
Oh, I think you're okay. I mean, you survived the last president and you didn't get kicked out, so you're okay.
Are we going to survive this one too?
Maybe.
Does anybody know what's going to happen?
Is he going to survive this one?
Are we going to survive this prime? What's happening in the world?
Yeah, there's a lot. We're going to cover a lot of that. There's some stuff we got to talk about. But our conversation today is going to be focused on a couple of different things. And the ethos of our publication is redefining masculinity for the modern gentleman.
I don't even know what that means, but I don't like the way it sounds.
You don't?
No.
Okay, well, we're going to get comfortable then.
Redefining masculinity.
Well, the idea is over the last couple of years, a lot of men being locked down lost all their distractions, right? They couldn't go to see comedy shows. They couldn't play sports. They couldn't go out with friends. And a lot of men realized that they
had an affinity to Pornhub.
Among other things, yes. Among other things. But they also realized that there was a lot going on that they just were simply unhappy about. Right? Whether it was their jobs, their relationships, their family relationships, their friends, their life choices, their health. And so the idea behind the publication is to really shine a light on those conversations. So, firstly, you got married recently.
Correct.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And you had Cedric the Entertainer
as my officiator.
Yes. Why?
Well, Ced and I are very good friends. And my wife and I are both atheists, so we were like, let's do this without any God stuff. And we were both like, well, how do we do that then? How do you get somebody to marry you? And then Ced, jokingly, we're having dinner one night, and Ced was like, I'll marry y'all. And I'm like, well, actually, Anthony Anderson said it first.
Okay.
He said, I could marry you, and I could divorce you, too. And I was like, all right, Ant, no. And then Ced was there, and I was like, hey, wouldn't it be good if Ced married us? And so I said it to my wife. She goes, oh, my God, that'd be awesome. Do you think he'd do it? And so we asked him, and he went and got certified online, and he did it for us.
That must have been a cool experience.
That's
having a friend do it.
Yeah, having a friend do it. And
I saw clips. It wasn't like a traditional wedding in the least sense.
No, it was like, I was talking to, I hate dropping names, but I have to because they were there. I was talking to Nile Rodgers about 2 weeks ago. I was with him in London. And he was saying it was the best wedding he'd ever been to. It was like, he said from start to finish was 9 minutes.
Efficient.
Yeah, efficient.
And you had Bruce Buffer announce you.
Bruce Buffer announced us as we walked in. Again, that wasn't planned. Bruce is a friend.
Yeah.
And he was invited. And I think in lieu of bringing a gift, he said, hey, is it okay if I introduce you? And I go, I mean, I'm cool with that. I don't know if my wife is cool with that. I was like, babe, would you okay if... She goes, oh, my God, that'd be awesome. And I was like, all right.
Do you think that she would draw the line at Cedric and say no to Bruce?
No, because she loves Ced. She knows Ced. She's known Ced. She actually knew Ced before she knew me.
Okay.
And I've known Ced before I knew her, too. So
right.
He's common thread there. But then Bruce said he'd like to introduce us, and I was like, awesome. But starting from scratch was hosting my wedding.
Oh, very cool.
He really stepped up that night, and I gotta say, as amazing as a DJ he was even just as amazing as a host.
Oh, very cool.
And he really kept that night tight for us.
You've had him for most of your career, if not all.
A lot of it, yeah. Well, we've been friends for 33 years.
Okay.
We've been friends for as long as I've been doing stand-up. We used to DJ together. We met DJing together back in '89.
Wow. Okay. So you're back in the city.
Mm-hmm.
Any spots that like really make you feel like home?
I stopped by my mom's house last night, and that made me feel like home.
Yeah.
Really home is where home is.
Yeah.
You know, there's places I like to see when I'm here, but I got in very late yesterday. I had a long travel day, and I don't want to waste time driving around and going looking at all my favorite places because I had my cousin waiting for me at the hotel to cut my hair.
Looking fresh.
Thanks. Yeah, he did
a fresh fade, ladies and gentlemen.
He's amazing, and you know the thing is, he's not a barber. But
Even
he's been
better.
cutting my hair for 28 years now.
I don't know what it is. I have a cousin that cuts my hair too. It's just a cousin thing. There's
Yeah.
always a cousin in the family that cuts hair.
I mean, I've been cutting my own hair since the pandemic.
Okay.
Literally, I started cutting my hair in April of 2020. It was like a month into the pandemic. I'm like, hey, I'm calling my barbers. I'm like, yo, you want to come over? And I'm like, all right. Well, then I had clippers, and I just thought I'd try it out. So I had the mirrors that folded out, and I gave it a shot, and it wasn't too bad.
How active were you during the pandemic as a comedian?
Not at all. I wasn't active at all during the pandemic.
How'd that feel? Like to not be able to
it
do the
felt good
craft?
because I'd been going so hard for so long.
Okay.
At first, it was like, this is great. But then your remember everybody's sleep schedule got turned upside down. Nobody knew when to be awake. Nobody knew when to be asleep. And everybody started going live on Instagram.
There was that one window everybody was live.
Everybody went live for like 2-3 months.
Yeah.
And D Nice was the only one who won that one.
So I've seen clips where you've openly talked about how there was a period of time as a comedian, there was a sense of unhappiness.
From being a comedian?
Whether you said it was from being a comedian, but it even came through in some of your performances, if I remember your words correctly. You said there was a level of unhappiness there.
Oh, there was some dark moments. And then, I mean, if you look at the way I was at a certain time in my life, in a certain situation that was going on in my personal life, although I tried to keep the front happy, it was like killing me inside. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, you got baby mamas and you're going to have drama. That's it. I can tell everybody in this room, pull out, kids. It ain't worth it.
So can we talk about that a little more?
Yeah, go ahead.
What was that feeling like where you had to, because everyone knows you as Russell the comedian, they see the outside, and it's not like you're, an introverted personality who keeps to himself. You're a known figure.
And I'm also very open about everything.
Right.
I'm not the guy that keeps things a secret, so to speak. You know what I mean?
Did that help at all?
Yeah, it always helps. It's always helped me like that because I think when you internalize it eats you up.
Okay.
And I'll internalize a certain amount of things because I'm not an idiot. You know what I mean? You don't just go blurting out everything to everybody.
Yeah.
You're not that much of an open book, but it's calculated what I'm going to say, what I'm going to let people in on. I mean, I'm as I like to say, I'm innately a happy person. I consider it like your pilot light inside. You have a pilot light, and my pilot light is a happy pilot light. And I was in a place where I was with a person who was blowing out my light. And I felt very dark.
How'd you pull yourself out of that?
We got out of that situation, and then like almost 2 weeks after that, I met my wife. I wasn't trying to meet anybody.
Sure,
I wasn't like, oh, I'm going to meet somebody. And I was like, I didn't want to meet anybody. I didn't want to meet anybody. I didn't want to talk to nobody. I didn't want to go on any dates. I didn't want to have sex with nobody. I was just like, I need time for me. And I never got the time for me. But between my wife and Lord Finesse, I know this sounds ridiculous. So Lord Finesse, one of my favorite rappers of all time, part of the Digging the Crates TITC crew, produced Suicidal Thoughts for Biggie. He's the voice in Fatboy Slim right about now, the Funks. That's him.
Okay.
Anyway, he's one of my good friends. He recognized that I was in a dark place without me saying anything to him. I never called him and I was like, yeah, Ness, I never projected it to anybody. I never said it to anybody. But he somehow knew, and he flew to L.A. from New York in July of 2020 and is still there now. But legit, between him and my wife, we might not have been here today.
Right.
Yeah, it got dark.
Well, how important did you find it to have a male figure that you can turn to? Because I think a lot of men struggle with that, where we don't talk to other men. Well, tell them, hey, if we're at a club and someone pushes you, I will fight for you.
Yeah.
But I can't tell you I'm in a bad spot.
Finesse and I never had a conversation about it. He just knew.
Okay.
And I think it's important to have those people around you that just know. The people that know what you need at that moment, know. And I didn't need to talk to anybody. I just needed somebody there.
Yeah.
Even if I didn't see them, they were in the house. And I was in this big 12,000 square foot house by myself. my son had been taken from me. Everything had been taken from me at that moment.
Right.
Pictures of my son were taken from me. You know what I mean? Like, it was like, wait, what the fuck? So, it was a very weird space to be in all of a sudden. And just to have somebody there, just have somebody be like, hey, man, I'm going to barbecue. I'm like, awesome. It wasn't like they weren't in your face and they weren't like asking questions. They just let you be, but they were there to kind of like make sure you were okay.
It's therapeutic.
It is therapeutic, yeah. I mean, I'm not the guy that needs somebody to talk to about it. Okay. I'm the guy that needs just to know somebody's there.
Is comedy the outlet? Another outlet, rather?
Comedy's my therapy.
Okay.
Comedy's where I let it out,
Yeah. So 33 years you've been doing this now.
Yeah.
Times are way different.
Yeah, for new guys.
You feel like you're set in your ways. You don't feel the need to...
It's not about being set in your ways. It's about, I've developed an audience.
Okay.
And my audience is coming to hear what I do. They're not coming to hear a woke version of me. Shit, I wouldn't want to come see a woke version of me. And what does that even look like? Exactly. It's terrible. It's like it's all of a sudden your steakhouse goes vegan. Well, no, what the fuck? You know what I mean? I came here to eat a steak, and you're offering me a fucking bean burger. No, I want my steak. And just because other people going vegan doesn't mean your steakhouse has to change.
Yeah.
So it's the same concept.
What do you offer advice-wise to the new guys? Because they're trying to break into this
yourself.
industry.
I mean, I don't. I have this saying: just because you're offended doesn't mean you're right.
Okay.
It means you got some soul searching to do. You need to figure out how to toughen up and pull through these offended times. There's plenty of times in my life I was offended, but did it stop me from doing anything? No, it motivated me. Use this as motivation, you fucking idiots.
So I was watching a lot of your shows over the last week in preparation.
Where's your family from?
Lebanon.
Ew. I'm just kidding.
I think there's two of us here.
I know, he just looks like another you. I knew he was Lebanese when he said his name was Ayman.
Yeah, that was a giveaway.
Yeah, like if your name was Fatty, I would have known you were Lebanese.
That's my cousin's name.
Yeah, of course it is. But you were Samir, and I'm like, I don't know. That's what you do with peanut butter. I don't even know if that's a name. You know what his father's name is? Pap Smear. Anyway, this next guy, ladies and gentlemen.
You've performed in Lebanon.
Oh, fucking Lebanon's awesome, dude. Yeah. Lebanon is...
Why do you like it so much?
It's dope.
It is, right?
Have you been?
I've been, yeah, a few times.
It's so good.
Maybe now is not the best time to go back when you get like an hour.
It's probably better now than it was a year ago, but
Yeah, well, yeah.
I had a great... Every time I've been... Listen, I don't like the nightclub scene. I don't like the bottle service scene. I don't like the oots, oots, oots. But for some reason in Lebanon, it's amazing. Like I went to that Club White, which apparently got wiped out from that explosion. Do you know Club White?
Yeah, I've heard
it was like levels, like these big levels, like this almost, but like on a much grander scale. And every level was a VIP booth, like a bunch of VIP booths. And everybody had a booth. And everyone's having a good time. They're playing crappy music, but it's not bothering me because it's just so... The vibe, the energy is so alive and so dope. And I remember there was this moment where all the bartenders got on the bar, all the girls, and they were dancing with holding champagne bottles. And I was like, oh, okay, cool, whatever. And there's a big window like this, and you could see the bay or the ocean front, whatever that is, right there. And I remember seeing fireworks going up, and I remember going, well, that's dumb. How are you going to see the fireworks if the roof... And I looked up and the roof had retracted. I go, this is so dope!
Only in Lebanon would they manage to be able to do something like that on an hour's worth of electricity per day.
Oh, man, it was awesome. They probably had some guy cranking it.
In the back, yeah.
I know when I got back to my room, I was cranking it.
So, okay. You talked about your comedy being your therapy.
Right.
You've repeatedly in your shows talked about your parents. You said your first stop was your mom. And I know that you've talked about how close you were to your dad. Mm-hmm. What was that relationship like growing up when you wanted to be a comedian, when you're like, hey, mom, hey, dad, I'm going to be a comedian?
You got to understand, my family's not like a traditional Indian family at all.
Okay.
At all on any day.
Okay.
We grew up Catholic, first of all, which is why I'm an atheist. And And my parents both worked. They had regular jobs. And I've talked about it in my act. Everyone thinks, oh, you must make this up. I go, no, my mom really did work at Kmart. My dad really did work in a chicken plant in Brampton. Right. You know, and so they were out by 6:30 every morning to go to work. So we didn't see them. Even my brother and I would come home from school and go to school by ourselves and come home from school by ourselves. My brother's 6 years older than me, so he would take me to school. And I'm 6, he's 12. He's taking me to school. We're coming back from school. There's nobody home till like 4 or 5 in the evening. So we figured it out, you know.
Were they supportive?
I mean, there wasn't like an unsupportive or supportive thing. They didn't know what it was. I'm the first guy. Right. You know, it's like you say to your parents, Mom, Dad, I'm going to be, name something a Lebanese person hasn't done. You know what I mean? You're like, I want to do that. And they're like, okay, whatever that is, you know. If you don't really know what it is, they're kind of just going to go, oh, well, okay, sure. Especially if they know that I'm not going to go to university. There was no hope for that. There was no delusions of he's going to be something one day. They were just hoping I would be secure, whether it was in a factory or working at the airport. They didn't care as long as I had a job. That's all they cared about, that it wasn't a freeloader.
What was it about comedy that attracted you to it?
Well, I mean, you're not, I think you're born this way.
Okay.
You know, singers are born. You could tell which ones took vocal classes and the ones that just naturally had a talent.
Right.
And it's the same thing with comedy. You know, you can go take a comedy course if you want. You're going to learn the theory of it, but that's like, it's the difference between taking a boxercise class and boxing. You know, yeah, you hit the bag and you did it in a rhythmic way, but if somebody threw a punch at you, you're going to get knocked out. You know what I mean? But if you're in the ring, you know how to move. You understand movement. It all becomes one thing. The same thing with comedy. You are. I am me. I am. When I'm on stage, I'm just a little bit more amped up version of me.
Right.
But I'm the same guy off stage, which, whether it's good or bad, it's just who I am.
So what people see on stage is what they get outside of...
Yeah, I mean, it's not as in your face off stage. On stage, you know, you got the license up there. Right. I fuck with people up there. I'll fuck with people off stage, but not anywhere near the same way that I would do it on stage.
Right.
However, that being said, with my friends, I'm a little harsh.
Tell me about the relationship with your mom. Very close. You said you went to see her.
You know, my mom's 81 years old this year. You know, but she's still sharp and spry. You know, it's just me and my brother, and obviously we have our wives and our kids, but, you know, it's your mom. I mean, how do you explain a mother-son relationship? It's our mom.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
It's not like we had a bad relationship and now we got a good one. It's your mom. She's always going to be my mom.
Right. Okay. So you're here because you're promoting your work with the Condo Store.
Correct. Interestingly enough, Simon Mass just walked in. Interesting fact about Simon Mass. His middle name is Paynin.
Paynin.
Yeah, so his name is actually Simon Paynin Mass.
Okay. Tell me about this partnership. What's going on?
Well, you know, I've done some investing in my life, and it was usually real estate when I did do investing. And I never aggressively approached the investment world because, you know, when you come from nothing, when you grow up with nothing, to have anything is something.
Sure.
And so when I started making money, I was, instead of thinking long-term and investment, when I was buying real estate, it wasn't like, oh, I'm going to get this investment. I was like, I want that house, and I want that house, and I'm going to have that house. And that's what I was doing, which ironically was a good idea. But at the same time, you know, I was doing it just for flossiness. I just wanted to be the guy with all the houses, you know. And then I started living like a rapper for no reason. I started taking private jets everywhere and started buying all kinds of dumb cars and had 30, 40 watches. I've downsized everything because I realized none of that stuff was necessary. None of it was bringing me any joy. And I met Simon a few years ago. We did something with Danny Green. And he was telling me about his company, and I was like, you know, Simon, I could use some help learning how to invest better. He goes, well, what have you invested in? I said, real estate. He goes, that's a good start. That's exactly what I do, and that's great. I go, but I explained to him I wasn't investing. I was just buying real estate.
Right.
And he took me and helped me understand how to invest in real estate. as opposed to just buying real estate for no reason.
And what's the trick there?
Well, the trick is you buy investment properties. I wasn't buying investment properties. I was buying homes for myself in different places.
Right. Okay.
And you can only live in one place at one time. And in all fairness, I don't have a home in Toronto anymore. I sold that house to Mitch Marner.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
What was that transaction like? Was it him?
It was good. It was nice. And then he just gave me a Range Rover a couple of weeks ago. Me and a couple of my friends saw him on the Queensway. And
I didn't want to say anything. So he saw you, and he probably mistook
I was like,
you.
Yo, give me that Range Rover. He was like, what? Get the fuck out the car.
Okay. So you've been working with this group now, the Condo Store.
I'm working with the Condo Store for, Simon and I have been friends for a few years, and we started working together over the past year and a half now. And he's really helping me understand the world better because, you think we're like, I'm just going to invest. It's a very simple process and a simple thought, which it is. But, again, a person like me needs a little bit more... I need training wheels with me, and Simon are my training wheels. He's helping me get through it without making the mistakes because I'll still do the same thing. I'm like, and he'd be like, no. You're investing. Understand that you're investing. You don't need to do any more than you're doing if you're investing.
Did you find that when you started, so you made the comment of when you come from nothing, something is a lot.
Mm-hmm. Anything
is a lot, sorry. When you get to that point, and you said you started splurging, living like a rapper, you sort of lose all financial control.
Well, it's not you lose financial control. You were making a lot of money, so it's not like you were, you just, the problem is I wanted to do everything that I ever wanted. And the good news is now I've already done it. I've done it. I've owned the Rolls Royces. I've owned the Bentleys. I've owned the Porsches, Lamborghinis. I had all of this stuff. Okay. I've had, gigantic houses. I've had mid-size. I've literally got to experience everything. And now you get the chance to sit back. Thank goodness I'm still in a position to be able to do all those things. But now I'm a little smarter about it because I'm a little older. I'm in my 50s now. I got, my kids are young. I got to make sure leave something for them. And my wife has kids and they're grown.
Does your perspective change as you get older?
Yeah, your perspective definitely changes. You understand things better. You understand, when I got rid of everything, when I started selling off everything, I was like, I don't need this. I don't need this. I never once missed any of it. And that's when I knew. I was like, it really meant nothing. But I'm also not the kind of person that gets attached to material things. Like, give me that watch. I'm like, all right, whatever, sure.
Okay. And
you ain't going to get it, but no. I'm just saying.
So, okay.
And you're going to have to kill me to get it, but I'm just saying. But I'm not attached to it.
So no material attachments, the houses, all of that.
Yeah, none of it meant anything.
Can I ask you a personal question?
Yeah.
How much of that, you said that, you did, through the divorce and everything, a lot
No, it was
of
no
that,
divorce.
Sorry, no divorce, through the split.
Yeah.
There was a lot that sort of went down there.
Well, no, that she never got any of that. That wasn't it wasn't even on the table.
So it was all purely just you sort of saying, you know what, let's declutter.
Yeah. She left, and then I was like, well, the only thing I miss is my kid. And I was like, well, how do I fix that? So I had all these extra things laying around, and I'm like, none of this matters. At the end of the day, you got kids. That's all that matters at this point. And so I started realizing, well, this doesn't matter. I don't need it. And all I was doing was collecting all these things. In all fairness, if you want to really boil it down to the truth, the only reason you guys are doing all these things is to attract women. And if you're going to do all these big, flossy, flashy things, you're going to attract the wrong women. And I did that. So.
Lesson learned.
It took me a long time to figure this lesson out. And a lot of warnings were there, but I didn't heed any of it.
Can you give me an example of some of these warnings?
People going, hey, man, be careful.
Okay.
That ain't it. Nah, don't worry about it. I got this.
So it's important to surround yourself, though, with the right people, especially if someone like you who's going to be in the spotlight and is going to automatically attract those kinds of people to begin with, even if you don't flash anything.
Right. And then, also I changed a lot of my circle when all of that happened too. I love all my friends that I grew up with, all of my friends that are here. But I'll be honest with you, none of them are motivated to do anything in life. And that shit will weigh you down. Because if you're going to keep going back, like I'm not going to not talk to my friends anymore, but I got to look at them in a different space. I'm like, I can't, there's certain things that we're not going to click on anymore. And I made some other friends that, you know, are smarter, are more like are wiser, are richer, are more driven. They have far more foresight with their lives. You know, they want things, and those are the same kind of people as me. And I'm like, oh, I need to be with these people more because they uplift you to get to these places. You know, you look at a guy like Sal from EXO. You know Sal Slaby.
I've heard the name.
He's your people. He's Weekends manager.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Anyway, I look at a guy like Sal, who I've known for a long time, and I look at his whole team around him. They're all motivated to do the same thing. And that's why they keep pushing ahead and they keep pushing forward and they keep doing big things because they're all in the same headspace. And it's hard for me to have my friends' headspace that I grew up with that are like, yeah, I'm going to get this car that's a 1990. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? And I'm going to put 800 horsepower. And I go, who's this going to help? You're 51 years old. What are you doing? This is not the fucking life. What's wrong with you?
Do you have these talks with them?
You can't, because they don't see anything wrong with what they're doing.
Okay.
They don't understand they're doing the exact same things we were doing when we were 14. You know, riding my BMX and saying it was a Corvette. I used to call it a Porschevette because it was like a half Porsche, half Corvette. And then I got older, I go, I don't want a goddamn Corvette.
Do you ever worry, though, that, you know, these friends of yours that you've known for so long
right,
start to look at you and go, oh, because he's big time now, he's too big for us little people?
Oh, no, they probably can do that. That's up to them, but they need to understand that it's them. You know what I mean? Like you go, you know, I can't do the same things I did as a teenager. You got to grow up and start thinking, you know what? There's no easy road. You're already 50 years old and you're doing the same things. Has that not taught you that there's no easy road? If there was an easy road, we'd all be taking it.
Yeah.
You got to put the work in. You got to do something.
Very true. So the people you surround yourself with right now
are far more successful than I will ever be.
They push you. They motivate you.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I'm friends with Stan Kroenke, who owns the Rams. He owns the stadium the Rams play in. He owns the Denver Nuggets. He owns the Colorado Avalanche. He owns Arsenal football team. This guy's worth billions of dollars. And I talk to him the same way I'm talking to you, because I don't know. That's how I talk to people, you know. Right. But he likes it because he's like, this guy talks to me normal. When I see him, he's like, shit, you're not going to make fun of me, are you? And I go, it's possible, Stan. It's possible that it may happen. But when I'm with him, you see people, Mr. Kroenke, would you like anything? And I understand the respect level, but at the same time,
those people probably work for him.
Yeah, they work for him. And I'm like, I don't want anything from him. I'm not like, you know, I'm not asking these people for handouts or anything. I'm being around them and absorbing their energy and seeing how they move. And you ask them little questions here and there. Hey, what do you think about this? I don't do that. You know.
Do you learn anything from him?
Yeah, I learn a lot from them because I look at what they drive. They don't drive flossy cars. They drive regular cars. Okay. I look at what's on their wrist. Do they have an Apple Watch or no watch at all? You know, like these are all the things I'm paying attention to that make me go, oh, right, I'm doing it wrong.
Right. They're not just trying to show off anymore.
They're not. They're not interested in what you think of them. They're interested in what they think of themselves.
So it's them versus themselves, better than they were the day before.
Yeah.
Not so much them versus their friends, their colleagues.
Yeah. They're not in competition with anybody.
Right. So tell me, what's going on? What's new? You're coming back to Toronto at the end of the month. Your show, Act Your Age.
End of July 28th, Scotiabank Center. Act Your Age World Tour.
That's right.
Hitting Canada next month. Oh, is it June already?
It is. Tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yeah. Yeah, so the tour starts this month in June.
Okay. Touring the U.S. and then Canada?
No, Canada. It's all Canada. June,
all Canada.
July, yeah.
Okay.
It's going to be great. I'm excited to come back. It's been 4 years.
Okay.
Yeah, my life is so different 4 years ago than it is now.
Completely different man.
Completely different. It's insane. I'm like, it bugs me out when I think about it because, you know, there's, you know, like, if, you know how we live our lives as it's 2022 AD, you know? Well, for me, it's like, you know, it's 2022 ABM, you know, it's after baby mama. And then, you know, 2018 was before baby mama, you know. BBM.
Cool. You excited
BlackBerry
for that? Yeah. Actually, he has a BlackBerry. I saw it for the first time. He would have a BlackBerry.
You know what? It matches his moccasins. You know, I would be disappointed if he didn't have a BlackBerry.
Well, listen, I really appreciate you taking the time to chat with us. I appreciate the authenticity and the honesty to share some of that. I know that you say you talk about it openly and everything, but it does take a level of courage to talk about those things, because there's going to be people out there that are going to hear that and go, okay, maybe I can talk about that too with someone.
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't think it should take courage. It just you got to be aware of yourself. Like once you become fully aware of yourself, you become fully aware. Nothing is off limits to you at that point.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I appreciate it nonetheless. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Samir. Shukran, Habibi.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.